Hey guys, back again with another video. This time a review on Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, for a bunch of systems. And I had played the New Order, and I think I might have a review of it on the channel. I don't even remember actually. I enjoyed it. I didn't love it the way most people did, and it didn't make my Game of the Year list, but it was still a solid first-person shooter with a surprising story to it. Like, the writing was a step above most first-person shooters. So I can't say I was super excited for this one, but it was still a game that I wanted to play, and I borrowed it from a friend. I didn't pay for it, which is a good thing. So I just finished it, and it's weird. You know what? This game's been getting like a lot of praise in the reviews. I don't quite understand the praise because the gameplay in this game, I think, is actually kind of a step down from the previous one. It has a lot of issues that I'll get to later that really drag down the experience for me. But on the other hand, I think this game's like characters, its writing, and its storytelling is far more engaging and far more crazy than the first game, and that kind of kept me going. I wasn't so into the game at first. It kind of got better as it went on, and there's so many moments in this game that really stuck out to me, and I'm always going to remember. A lot of just really memorable, intense moments in this game, and then there's some really silly, over-the-top moments that I really wouldn't want to spoil that really surprised me. And when a game can surprise me in the ways that this one does, I kind of do end up admiring it, despite a lot of the game's issues. I would actually recommend this game, especially if you're a huge fan of the first one. I don't see why you would dislike this one. I just, a part of me wishes it was a lot better than it was, though. This had potential. If they fixed a few things with the gameplay, and I'll get to that, this had the potential to be one of my favorite games of the year, but as it stands, it's kind of like a minor recommendation from me, because I think there are like some very positive aspects to this game that really kind of blew me away a little bit, and then you have a lot of these gameplay issues that just really dragged the game down. But yeah, I think it's still going to end up being probably one of the more memorable games of the year for me, and it was surprising in some ways. But anyways, let's get to the game itself. We'll talk about the story first. It kind of picks up right after the events of the New Order. So if you hadn't played that game, they do give you a recap in the beginning, which is good. So I don't think you need to have played the first. If you're one of those people that has to play previous games before you play like a direct sequel, then yeah, I would recommend playing the New Order first. But just know that you don't have to have played the first one. But it kind of picks up after the events of that game. I'm not going to really spoil what happened at the ending of that game, but the general plot is sort of the same. It's a direct continuation where you're in 1960s Nazi-occupied America in this alternate timeline where the Nazis won World War II. And that's always been a fascinating thing for me. I love alternate history storylines, especially having to do with World War II. And that's one of the more interesting aspects of this game. It's world building. It's really excellent at world building, with a lot of the newspaper articles you'll find throughout the environments and things like that. And the general plot of the game, you're still BJ Blazkowicz, and you're still part of this resistance group trying to get rid of the Nazis. Basically, it's kind of a simple storyline, but it's the way the characters are written is probably one of the more engaging aspects of the game, and the story goes into some crazy directions, especially in the second half of the game. There's one particular moment that it's sort of a plot twist, but this plot twist is one of the most absurd things I've seen in a video game, and you know what? I kind of liked it. I think it's going to be very divisive. A lot of people are probably going to just be super frustrated at it, but I don't know. I thought it was so audacious that I kind of loved it. And the sequence that starts before that section, that plot twist, is absolutely brilliant as well. And then the ending of this game is super strong. It's got kind of a cliffhanger ending, but it's super satisfying at the same time, if that makes any sense. Again, the plot is kind of simple, but the things they do with it, and the directions they go with it, and some of the environments you find yourself in is pretty interesting. There's one section where you're kind of exploring like this this part of Texas in 1960s Texas that's Nazi occupied, and it's just really fascinating. And there's just a lot of interesting moments that happen there. There's like this diner scene that's really memorable, that is like super tense. Just a lot of great moments. And then you have the characters that I just really like. All the Resistance members you interact with when you're on your ship. And you can kind of take on side quests and get to know the characters a little better there. And what they do with the main character, they take this character, BJ Blazkowicz, who basically didn't have much of a character in the old games, and they make him like this nuanced, well done character with a very interesting backstory. You get a lot of these moments in this game where you go back to your childhood, and they're really well done. I thought they were really interesting and kind of sad in a lot of ways, and they really added to his character. I don't know, between the first game and this game, I just really like what they've done with the main character here. He's really, I don't know, I just really like him. And yeah, any scene that had to do with your father in this game, I thought was really excellent and very disturbing. There's a lot of disturbing stuff in this game. It's over the top. Like, don't get me wrong, I think it's more over the top than it is disturbing, especially with a lot of its violence and a lot of the crazy, absurd stuff that's going on. But the game's not afraid to get really dark and brutal at times, and I kind of liked that. And those childhood sequences are especially disturbing, I think. But yeah, I gotta say, I think the story and the writing in this game was a step up over the previous game, which was fine, but it didn't like blow me away or anything. This game, though, I don't know, I just was really engaged. Excuse me. With like what was going on in the story and what they've done with the characters, and it's basically what kept me going despite a lot of my complaints with the gameplay, which we'll get to now. This game, it's so weird. It's like it wants to be this stealth game, yet it's so terrible at stealth. The stealth mechanics in this game are almost non-existent, yet the way it's designed, it's very hard to play this game guns blazing on anything other than the easiest difficulty. It's weird. Like with the stealth with this game, all that you really get is the ability to do stealth kills from behind, and that's about it. There's no map to speak of. There's no radar other than the commanders showing you like a little thing at the top where like the general direction of where a commander is going to be. But that's it. There's no good way to really study patrols of enemies. The AI is extremely random in this game. There's often times where I was playing where the AI would not even be facing me, and then they would catch me, and I was sneaking around going slow, which was very frustrating. And it's one of those games where if you're trying to get through an area, trying to get to the commanders, and you get caught, you're fucked. You're done. You have to basically restart on anything higher than easy difficulty, because on normal and higher, you die extremely fast. Like, I'm talking like 2 to 3 hits. And there's just some times where enemies, you're not going to be able to see them. They might be behind you. And the hit detection is really terrible in this game. It's very hard to know if you're getting damaged or not. It needs better feedback with that kind of stuff. So oftentimes you'll get caught, and then immediately you're just shot to death. And the game's reinforcement system is so fucking aggravating. I absolutely hate it. Where you'll come to like this part of the level where there'll be a bunch of different pathways and a bunch of different patrolling enemies, and then there'll be one or two commanders at the very end of a section. And basically, anytime you get caught by an enemy, the commanders get notified, and then they constantly respawn enemies on you. So basically, the game stops becoming a stealth game, and then you basically have to go guns blazing. Yet, the game's health system completely discourages stealth. And then the fact that you die so quick means the guns blazing sections are just extremely difficult and unforgiving in a way that's just incredibly frustrating. The only way I had fun with this game was putting it on the easiest difficulty, where I could actually take some hits and play it like I would like an old Wolfenstein game, where it would just be, guns blazing. You get to dual wield all these awesome weapons. You get to see all these great death animations. It becomes this really action-packed, fun first-person shooter experience. But when the game's forcing stealth on you, which, I mean, on anything higher than easy, you pretty much are, because the game's almost impossible playing guns blazing on the harder difficulties. it becomes this really frustrating experience. The reinforcement system is so fucking terrible. And the health system, I gotta talk about this, just boneheaded stealth health system that they've got in this game, where armor is fine, where you'll find armor throughout the environment, and then it stays on your character, and every time you get hit, you'll lose some armor, and then a bit of health. But the health system, you start at 50 HP, and any health pickups you get after that increases your health, so it might increase your health to 100, but your health will constantly drain back to 50. So you have to basically rush, and you can't really rush because the game's forcing stealth at you at all times, and it makes the pickups completely useless because you're exploring, finding all this health, but you have to be you can't take your time because the health is constantly draining. It's just I don't get it. I do not understand the health system. It just does not blend with the stealth that they've got in this game. The cover system does not work well at all. There's a lot of times I'll be behind cover and then somehow enemies spot me. Like there's plenty of AI glitches I ran across. I started on this game on normal mode, and by the time I got like 25% through the game, I was like, fuck this, I can't do this. This is irritating. So I changed it to easy, and then I started to have a lot more fun. And I do like the death animations in this game, and the gunplay when it works. When you have a decent amount of health and can actually survive. Properly survive, the game can be fun to play. It's just, I don't know, I think the difficulty balancing of this game, the health system, the stealth, the weak-ass stealth that they have in it's just all these systems that don't work well together, and I don't know how this got through any kind of testing, like how anything, like no one brought any of these design flaws up. The first game was kind of like this as well, but I feel like this game is far worse. It's just, I don't know, it's just weird. Other thing was with the gameplay, there's like these side quests that I talked about earlier that add nothing to the game. You find enigma codes from commanders, and then you can go to previous areas and then kill some commanders. But again, you have to contend with the awful stealth system, the awful reinforcement system, and you get no rewards from it. It doesn't give you shit. It's just, I don't understand the point of them. They're just padding. You have like a perk system in this game where the more you do certain activities, like get headshots on enemies, your abilities will increase. It's more simplified from the previous game, like the previous game's upgrade system, but I think I actually prefer it here because I don't really like when first-person shooters just pile on upgrade systems and RPG elements. I feel it never quite works all that well, especially with a game like this. But what else is there? There's upgrading your weapons. You'll find upgrade kits throughout the environments to upgrade your weapons. But that I was fine with. I didn't mind that so much. Later in the game, you get different. You get to pick like one of 3 different like abilities for BJ, which is kind of interesting. Like one of them, you can kind of ram through doors and things like that. Which that was kind of cool. And again, there's like a story component to that I greatly enjoyed. The gunplay itself in this game is solid. It's not like, I mean, it's definitely feels a little limited coming from something like Doom, which really I don't know, like it's gonna be hard to top Doom now with first-person shooters as far as actual gun feel and sense of speed goes. But this game can be pretty fun at times. Dual wielding shotguns is something I really miss in first-person shooters, and I love the fact that you can't it's not like one of those stupid games where you can only carry 2 weapons at a time. I always hate that. And a lot of the heavy weapons are fun to use. The game's super gory and over the top, so that can be fun. But I don't know. There's definitely issues with this game. How I would have, like, honestly, I would just take out the stealth in this game completely. Just completely remove it. Take out the reinforcement system. Get rid of the, like, maybe have a stealth kill as an optional thing that you can do. But that's about it. And then just make it a game that's focused more on, like, running and gunning. Change the health system, get rid of the draining health, make it so like it's a classic first-person shooter where you find health and armor and they increase your maximum health, increasing your survivability. The level design in this game is a bit weird too. It's often really hard to tell where you're supposed to go at times. It's really vague. Like, there'd be times where it's just like, oh, what? I had to do that? Like, really? It can be a little, I don't know, maze-like at times. It can be a little frustrating. Some of the environments in the early part of the game are a little dull to explore as well. yeah, I don't know. The gameplay in this game, it has its moments, but overall, it just, I don't know. I feel like the only way this game is tolerable is if you put it on like the easiest or easy difficulty. Like that's where the game is at its most enjoyable, which is weird. It's one of those times where I'm actually glad a game has different difficulty levels. Yeah, anyways, that about covers it for the gameplay. Visuals, it looks fine, I guess. I don't know, it's, again, like, a lot of the environments are kind of, I don't know, samey, and I don't know, they just have, like, kind of a dull, like, the environments here that you're seeing, you know, it's not the most interesting environment to explore. The lighting in this game is quite good. I really do like the lighting in this game. I don't know, it's hard to really talk about the visuals with this game. It's not, like, the most impressive looking game. The cutscenes, I think, are well done. Like, they're well directed, and they look pretty good, but I don't know, it's weird. Like, this game didn't, I don't know, it's not like this terrible looking game, it's not like an amazing looking game either. Honestly, I think it looks about the same as the New Order from what I remember. But yeah, I don't know, I guess probably one of the more interesting things with this game is like the Texas section that I mentioned earlier. That part of the game has a very striking look to it, and I think the actual like art direction in some spots of this game is actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good, but I don't know. The visuals are not like nothing to write home about. Audio, the music is, I don't know, it fits the game, I guess. It's very like I don't know, very. It's almost hard to describe, but it's like almost metal in a way. It fits the game, but man, the ending credits song is terrible. It's like this really awful, like almost death metal version of what's that? It's like a Twisted Sister song. What is it? We Aren't Going to Take It. I fucking hate that song, and it's somehow even worse than the original. Yeah, I don't know. Really, really terrible ending credits song. But the soundtrack is okay. I don't know. It was kind of just there in the background. It didn't really leave a lasting impact on me. Voice acting is really good. Like with the New Order, the voice acting is top notch in this game, especially from the guy who voices BJ Blazkowicz. Really good voice acting there. Then this game also has a really strong villain. The same villain as the same antagonist as the first game, but really, really strong antagonist. I forgot to mention. And there's also a certain other antagonist you'll see in this game that plays a part in one of the most memorable sequences in this game, which I don't really want to spoil as well. Yeah, voice acting is quite good. And yeah, the sound design is pretty good as well. The weapons have a good like punch to them, especially some of the more powerful weapons like the shotguns and things like that. So audio is pretty good. I think the audio is pretty good in this game. But yeah, I mean, what else to mention? I think, I know, a part of me wishes I maybe played it with a keyboard and mouse. Even though I'm one of those weird people that actually prefer first-person shooters on a gamepad because I'm actually so used to it at this point. I don't know, when you've played first-person shooters with a controller for like most of your life, it can be a little jarring to go back to like a keyboard and mouse, I gotta say, although plenty of people are going to disagree with me on that, but I do have to say, like, the aiming in this game felt a little off at times, and that probably due to the fact that I was using a gamepad. And that might have contributed to like the difficulty of this game overall. Like, the game is really hard on like the normal difficulty, but again, I don't think it's entirely, I don't know, I think it's just because like the systems in this game just do not work well together, and it's, I don't know, the enemies do way too much damage and have way too much health for what they expect out of you and for how the health system works. I don't know, it's really a lot of bad design decisions there, but I gotta say, I do enjoy the game overall. I did have a good time with it. I don't think it's a bad game, and I think the story, the writing, and a lot of these memorable sequences kind of hold the game up, despite the game's kind of lackluster gameplay. Which is a shame, because I think this game, it's close. It's close to being like this really excellent first-person shooter, and they just drop the ball in too many areas for it to be like a total recommendation for me. But I do gotta say, at a price drop, at a reduced price, which has already gone down to like $40 Canadian on Black Friday, which for that, you know what, I would kind of recommend it. I think it's worth playing maybe at a price like that. It's just full price. I don't know if I can fully recommend it, but yeah, I don't know. It's a weird game. It's a weird game. I have a lot of issues with it, but at the end of the day, I did like it for the most part. But anyways, that's it, guys. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.